A great artist to me is about so much more than just the songs. It's the entire world they build and the culture they inhabit. The fashion, the music videos, even down to the hair or colors they use. Everything is intentional. And when I think of some of the greatest artists of our time, they are people who are geniuses at creating that world. From the way Beyonce plans out every performance, or how Taylor defined her eras, Charli understanding the power of the niche, or Kendrick and his power of storytelling. They are so much more than just music. They combine the visuals and all of these elements to tell a story, and that is true artistry. And arguably the most important way you have to tell that story is through marketing. How they tease the music, engage with the fandom, create lore. Music and marketing are two sides of the same coin. Because it doesn't matter how great your story is if you don't have a way to tell that story and reach the people who resonate with who you are. So how do you create that world? How does an artist break through in a time where there is so much more music than there has ever been before? Well, that is exactly the question we set out to solve here today. And what better guest to have than Sam Riddle, SVP of Warner Records.
Hello.
And friend of the show. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This is going to be fun.
I'm excited. And I'm very interested, like what you do is so fascinating to me. You know, I mean, it's like the entire business side of music, essentially. And I think very interesting perspective for like the aspiring artists or people who want to work in music out there of like, what does someone like you think and do when they get the song? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it really varies. What's fun is that every project, every artist, every label, every instance of how like the origin of a song being released is different, right? So sometimes it starts with a secret meeting that everyone hears the song for the first time and they're excited, and then we trade ideas and the artist tells us their vision. Other times it can be you hear a demo version of the song that isn't quite done yet, but everyone's excited and you start kind of kicking around ideas and figuring out what makes the most sense to bring this to market, bring it to the fans and who the fans are. I think that's a lot of times where it starts and where the conversation starts is like, who are your fans? Where can we find those fans? What do they like? What are they into? And being able to connect with people on a deeper level than just the song.
Yeah, I love like who is such an interesting thing. And I think is a tough thing for artists like think about themselves, but is so important and like a very useful exercise. Like I've even had people like had things where I'm like, try and like draw, like what does your friend look like? What do they wear? Where do they go? What stores do they shop at? You know what I mean? Like an interesting also I like to observe at concerts. You know, it's like what like what are these people that's wearing?
One of the most fun things is like I get to go to so many shows and I still absolutely love it. I still go to shows that aren't for work, for fun, and I'm super fans of artists myself, right?
Yeah.
But the going to a show for work versus going to a show for pleasure, you do have different lenses on, right? You look to see, I mean, the ultimate sign of fandom to me is if an artist is performing, is everyone at that show dressing like the artist?
Yeah.
Like if you go to a Tyler, the Creator show, you know that. When I was in college, I was that kid dressing like Tyler. The pictures are out there. Maybe they're not. I hope they're not. But like it's one of those things where when the artist has that connective tissue with their fans, they feel a piece of the artist within them and in their shared experiences and their moments. It's just like any other sense when you get that smell of a moment in your past.
Totally.
Music's just like that. And
totally. And I think one of the most interesting like examples of exactly what you're talking about with the outfit in the past year to me was like Sabrina Carpenter.
Yeah.
You know, like emails I can't send. I'm not sure you knew what to wear to that tour.
Yeah.
Short and sweet, you definitely knew what to wear to that tour.
Absolutely.
And like when you look at like, you know, her going to becoming a top 10 artist in the world, like from that one album, having one of the biggest songs of the year, like it's so interesting exactly what you're saying. Like it should be digestible. It should be a Halloween costume. You should know it before you've even like thought about it almost.
Yeah. I think that's almost like an interesting test of fame, right? Like if somebody can go as you for Halloween and be recognized, then you're famous.
Yeah.
Fame is a spectrum, fame is a scale, but that's like, then you're a star or like superstar, like that level.
Right.
And then there's bits and memes and jokes and characters from the past of movies and stuff that like might be more niche and people will get. But like if we're talking musicians, that's a really interesting, good litmus test for it.
Yeah, an interesting like thing that like it's something like people like you are thinking about too.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. I mean, like there are instances where artists will sell merch to encourage that.
Yeah,
and it's sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy at that point. But it's also like people are buying it. It's meeting a demand that people wanted. So it's not like it's pushing on somebody, but connecting with your audience in that way and being able to make that connection.
Yeah. And like feeling like a group again, like I always say, like a joke I always make with my friends is I'm like, music is literally sports for girls and gay people. Like we're all like going to the stadium and wearing our little like jerseys and things to watch someone perform. Like, and when you think about sports, it's very like stark and visual, where it's like Broncos jersey and right, like
it's community, just
exactly.
like any other pocket. And I think us as we are social creatures, and we want to be understood, and we want to be loved, and we want to be part of a group of a bigger thing. And I think what's so fun with music, just like sports, is you're kind of believing in something bigger than you that you can't control. And you sit there in awe watching it, waiting for that moment to just like be fulfilled. And that's what's so special about it.
Yeah. And like the collective joy too. Like something about it, like you feel the way other people are in there. I very much want to circle back to this, but before we get there, I would also like love to hear like your lore.
My lore.
How did you get into music? Like, how did you start marketing music? Like, what is just the origin story?
The idea of me having lore is
beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's a new thing I have never maybe thought of. I started in music when I was in college. I was going to Michigan State University. I was studying to be a lawyer, and I thought that was like I kind of grew up in the mid-Obama term one and really believed in a lot of progressive politics and things that I felt could change the world. And I get to a big university, and I didn't find my community there at first. I was in classes with people that I just didn't maybe see eye to eye with. I wasn't in love with the curriculum and the things I was doing, and was a bit lost. And I met a friend who was in the same dorm as me, and he was volunteering at the college radio station at Michigan State. And I was like, huh, that's cool. Like I don't belong in a fraternity. I'm not athletic enough to play sports in college. So I didn't have my group of people, and I knew there was more for me there than partying, drinking, having fun. I did plenty of that while there, but like that wasn't the sole function of that. So I started volunteering at the college radio station and absolutely fell in love with it. I started doing like early morning DJ sets and was able to play music that I wanted to play. And it was really cool and creative. I met some of my closest friends that I still keep in touch with there. I ended up becoming the marketing manager of the station. That was like the first paid job that I had in music, I suppose. Before then I was like cleaning dorm halls, like minimum wage, painting white walls white.
Yeah.
It was as like needing to put money in your pocket as possible. I haven't looked back since.
Yeah.
I think I always knew from that moment that I was going to work in music and have ever since. I ended up in that tenure becoming a college rep for Universal Music Group. It's essentially like a juiced up street team. It was a bit of putting up posters, setting up listening events, listening to music early, giving feedback, doing just kind of like the on the ground work that I was able to reach students at Michigan State. And that opportunity led me to a job with Universal Music Group. It was called UMGD, the distribution, kind of the center, as you call it. And I was working in Chicago as like a field rep for Capitol Records, one of the labels at Universal. And that was like everything from calling record stores, asking them how many units of XYZ album they wanted to bring in, to like local brand partnerships. There was this store in Chicago that had like 16 different locations, did a partnership with them and an artist to come by and do a signing, stuff like that. Cool. Like very on the ground physical marketing as well as some sales. Eventually got moved to LA by Capitol, and that changed my life. I had been to LA a couple times, but I grew up in Michigan. I didn't know anybody in the music industry growing up. I didn't like, I really worked hard every single step of the way and was able to get a job in LA. And that was another moment where I'm just like, wow, like LA. I was living in a gross apartment in Hollywood. I was working in the sales department and was like helping the label rep for Apple Music kind of like pitch songs, and was doing spreadsheets and just like whatever I could. Happy to be in the door. Eventually moved from that into digital marketing at Capitol. And that was around the time that they had started a partnership with QC. Lil Yachty was putting out his first album. I was like the core demo, young 20s hip hop fan of Lil Yachty. So I just embraced that project and made connections and started to really like get inroads there. Got super involved, and then eventually took that opportunity and was offered an opportunity at Rock Nation to work in digital marketing at Rock Nation. That was like what I like to think of as grad school for me. I have so much gratitude for Rock Nation and the people I learned under and the artists I got to work with, from Nipsey Hussle to Big Sean to Grimes to Meek Mill, who I worked very closely with during like the championships era going bad. He was kind of pushing the whole Free Meek campaign that was about like people who are unfairly incarcerated, started a whole reform organization, got to see the world in a completely different lens, moved from digital marketing there into day-to-day manager for Meek. And that was like, I was just like, each step I've kind of was just like, pinch me. I can't believe this is actually my life. It was unreal.
That's awesome.
And then while there, Roc Nation ends up courting Megan Thee Stallion, brings her in as a client. I kind of built a relationship with some of her team through a tour that Meek and Megan had done, and eventually get put on that project to work as management on the management team of Megan Thee Stallion. And that was like off to the races. I think she started with Roc Nation it was right around Hot Girl Summer when that came out, and then was able to see the world. And I got to tour with artists. I got to travel. I got to go to award shows, and it was fascinating and really changed my life in so many ways that I was grateful for. And it was cool, like even telling this story, being able to like, dang, I really worked from radio to sales to digital marketing to management. Had like so many different fields that kind of brought me to where I am now. I help look after marketing at Warner Records, SVP of Marketing there. So I have a roster of artists that I kind of help lead strategy, campaign, project management for, and get to like bring their vision with them to life and really be a partner in like defining that vision, executing it, doing any of the kind of
building
pieces.
the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Building the world. No, but you stemmed a lot of questions for me. And also I love what you said about like just like your career in general. I very much feel that way. Like sometimes it feels like you're just like swinging on vines and you're like, I don't know where this is going to take me, but at some point I'll like let go and grab onto the next thing. But like when you were managing Megan Thee Stallion and Hot Girl Summer came out, did you like plan for that to become such a catchphrase? Like, was that a marketing campaign or did it just happen?
Megan is one of the most brilliant marketing minds in the world. That's not a hyperbole. That's not a joke.
I believe it.
She is so intentional and wise and knows how to speak to her fans and create a personal connection with people. Whether it was the hottie parties that she started throwing as little like crazy, like one of them was a house party in Atlanta that she started these ideas and maybe people didn't see the vision, but the Blank Girl Summer, it starts with Meg, and that was Meg.
For sure.
That was Meg. And I think what a good team does is seeing the opportunity and they do the blocking and tackling for the artist to really see the rest of the field. Sorry for the sports analogy.
No, I love it.
But that's her, man. She's just so smart and knows how to talk to her fans and that is one of those people that was going to be successful no matter what they did. She's brilliant.
Yeah. She's witty. Like even when I watch like interviews with her, like you can tell like her mind is like so sharp and I mean, even in the way she writes, but also just like a conversation. You know, like you can really see the way her mind is like working when she speaks, which is cool. And I even like with her most recent album, like I loved, and I thought this was so smart. Like she did a lot of like references to anime, which was like really interesting. Like those are huge fandoms.
But that's her. Like again,
and that's why it's
like,
cool.
It's
I love it.
When Meg's in her glam chair getting ready for shoots, she's watching anime. Like that is, it's authentic. So during the pandemic, we got her in contact with Crunchyroll, which is the biggest anime streaming service there is.
Yeah.
And we started doing content with them, and she did a merch capsule with them, and that was like one of the first seeds of bringing that anime thing to life. Actually, rewind that. She did a photo shoot with a magazine, an editorial one, where she dressed up as a character and did cosplay, like that stuff that she's really into, and it works because it's her. Yeah. And she's not faking it. She's not like trying to, like, the best marketing is not marketing, is just like being yourself and being loved for it and being unapologetically yourself and having reasons for people to care.
Right. It's like to be an amplifier or like a megaphone, but like what is being said has to come from the person.
But it's even from her, like the slogans, Hot Girl Summers, the noise, like stuff like that, like certain trademarks, like she can make that onomatopoeia noise and you know exactly who that is. It's not a coincidence, but it's also not a gimmick either. And I think being able to like define such a interesting marketing piece, but not be gimmicky with it is so brilliant.
Yeah. Then going to like your Warner years now, like what are I guess like what sort of artists do you work on and give us to? I have a few that I would love to talk about.
Yeah.
But then also like what is marketing in music? You know what I mean? And like defining like what teams are under you. Is it digital? Is it like, what does that look like?
Yeah. I'm so fortunate that I get to work across every single genre, all different types, from hip hop to pop to country to literally every genre I'm able to work across, which is really fun. It's interesting. And this is something that we explain a lot, is marketing at a record label isn't just marketing. The big piece of it is project management as well. So
Interesting.
There's two phases to it. Or two buckets, right? Part of what I do is I work closely with the artists and their management team to understand their vision, distill their vision, and preach it to the rest of the label. Make sure that the streaming team knows what the timeline is. Make sure that the digital team knows what their interests are and how to reach the fan base, being able to explain to the rest of the building who the fans are, like kind of the data analytics piece of it, being able to figure out what the press story is. The press teams generally are the ones who define the narrative, but we work together in bringing that narrative across every single bucket. Then there's the fun stuff, the marketing, one artist I work with is Omar Apollo, and he had a song called Ice Slippin'. So to announce the song Ice Slippin', we built these nearly life-size ice sculptures and put them in Hollywood, London, and I think one in New York as well. And like, we're able to do that. So like fun, creative marketing things. It can be anything from wheat pasting to billboards to, obviously right now, digital marketing is marketing. It is all really one thing, one artist's voice. There's a separate digital marketing department at Warner, and they do an amazing job. And we've all worked on such successful songs and campaigns recently that we win because we see it as a holistic approach, where it's not just do this video, post it, and then pray for virality. It's really reverse engineering of how do we make you, the artist, the focal point of your campaign, and make your art feel as special as it is to you, to the rest of your fans.
No, that's beautiful. And I think so much of it too is like really making them understand the story. Speaking of Omar Apollo, he's like one of the ones I want to talk about, of course.
Omar is such an incredible artist, and like he's an artist to his core. And I think everything is a artistic expression to him, that what matters the most is the music. I think there's been moments in his career where it really breaks through and you evergreen and certain songs that are timeless. And I think he approaches his art with music first, and he's not reverse engineering, trying to run a gimmick to make somebody care about a song because of a video he made. But the songs are so important and special that they stand on their own. That's kind of where it all starts with Omar and where he wants it to go.
One of the things I want to talk about too is like the position of like men in pop in general is like so fascinating to me. Like we've kind of witnessed this like death of the male pop star. Like we went from decades.
So that's where I want to ask you, what defines a male pop star? Because
I don't know anymore. And I think that's like part of the question.
I think that's part of it. Drake is a male pop star. Like by no shade or anything. Morgan Wallen, a male pop star.
Really? See, so I think Morgan Wallen's like when I think of it,
he's definitely country. Don't get me wrong there, but I think
popular appeal.
What I think the like male pop star line from the early 2000s, like dirty pop, like we're talking Britney, Justin, 98 Degrees, that world, like the boundaries of what a pop star is have expanded. And that world now encompasses different genres. So you might not see the archetype early 2000s pop star as much anymore, because as a culture, it's not as sectioned or like siloed.
I agree and disagree.
Okay.
Like I agree with what you're saying in terms of like this expansion of the genre for sure. You know, like exactly what you're saying. Like Drake is a rapper that has like pop songs. Like he is popular appeal. Was the biggest artist in the world for like years, one of the longest running.
Of course, yeah.
And you can say something like even like The Weeknd or like Post Malone, like they kind of like tipped in and out of those sorts of genres. But I still think that like we went from a run of like Michael Jackson and then like NSYNC, Justin Timberlake, Justin Bieber, One Direction, Harry Styles, and then like none. Like that sort of like, you know, like the young girl fan of Jonas Brothers even, you know what I mean? Like are in there. Like that sort of thing. Like I don't think it's that the appeal isn't there anymore. I think for some reason, nobody has figured out how to do it right in the era of music that we're in. Like it is so rewarding the artists who are so willing to go for it, like visually, like we're talking about earlier with Tyler, the Creator, right? Like he has an entire character for every album. Chappell Rowan is like doing an entire performance in every show. You see how Sabrina went so deep with it, with like the sexual innuendos and what she's wearing and, you know, being this like unapologetic flirt. And like HIII really goes for it in that way, you know, in terms of like his own like eccentricism, blah, blah, blah. And I don't think like, I struggle to think of a man who's like going for it to that level.
But
you know what I mean?
I think males get criticized for going for it for that way. And I think there becomes a backlash for like right now in culture. I think like nonchalance is such like a valued thing.
Interesting.
That like when someone really goes for it and tries, it is like, there's like this meme of A$AP Rocky where he was like, since when has it become cool to not try? Something along those lines where
totally.
I think someone like Benson who tries and leaves it all on the field gets unfairly criticized.
I don't even think it has to be like a specific like femininity or aestheticism in that way. I think it's like this, like I wouldn't say Tyler, the Creator is like that at all, but I would say he's somebody who really goes for it in that way.
Yeah, of course.
And like an example of somebody who I think is really starting to do it now is Somber.
Yeah.
Like Somber is like
100%.
what I think is like a male pop star
100%.
now.
Yeah.
And he is like, I wouldn't compare him to Harry Styles at all in any way. And I think it's because he so clearly has like this one, like a clear visual aesthetic that's like starting to develop this like noir type theme. His music feels like referential and new at the same time. It's like very 80s inspired, but you also feel influences from like The Neighborhood and Pierce the Veil, like that type of music. And he's really young too, like so young.
Yeah.
So like he's someone who I think has really figured out how to do it. But then again too, I'm like, I don't know if I could pinpoint exactly like why.
It's such a vulnerable state to be an artist in this day and age because everything is so microanalyzed. I get turned off by people, culture, life when it just becomes trendy to hate on something. I think that's like a cop out of insecurity.
Yeah. And I literally made a video on exactly this topic that you're talking about called The Death of Nuance.
Yeah.
And just how like everything is extremism. Like it feels like you cannot like or dislike. You cannot make a mistake. You are either loved and everything you do is amazing and you are the best artist in the world, or like you suck. Everybody overhypes you. Nothing you do is good. And it's like, what ever happened to like a nuanced opinion?
Yeah.
Like I really liked that one album, but the rest of their music isn't for me. Like there's no ability to like have that anymore.
But I think that comes from,
I think it comes from the internet.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say.
Like for sure.
To draw people into more content, to get more clicks.
Yeah.
People give a hot take, whether it's like the same as like a news debate show.
Totally.
Right? And there's no nuance in politics left either.
Yeah.
Right. Like I think there is a cultural like race to the bottom in some ways to have the hottest take.
Yeah.
Whether it's one side or the other, love, hate, left, right. Everybody wants to like go to the furthest extreme to prove they're so down for the cause versus listening and having a little bit of more empathy.
Right. And I always say like, it's weird. Like the only way to be criticized by both sides is to be in the middle, you know, like it's, and I think like that's a big part of it. I also just think in general, like extremism works on the internet in any and all capacities. You see a Mr. Beast YouTube video that's like $1 hotel room versus $100,000 hotel room.
So fascinating.
And you're like, neither of those things are realistic or like a relevant story to any human being, right? But like the extremism works. Like something about being at the end of the spectrum where either you love it or you hate it, like makes people engage with the thing, right? They're either this is the coolest hotel room ever. They're like, you're so stupid, this video sucks. And an algorithm does not care. It's just like, this is a comment or this is this amount of views. And I think that is why like this extremism and like artists really get a lot of like the worst of it. I think also just because they're like very specifically people, whereas actors get to be like, oh, this is a role or this is a movie, you know, and artists like, you're just you.
Right.
But I don't know. It sucks.
Yeah.
Like it sucks.
No, I agree. I think we just need a little more empathy. I think understanding where artists are coming from, that I get into this argument with my friends all the time. I have a theory that there's no such thing as bad music, that all music is inherently good because it is an expression of somebody's creativity.
That's beautiful.
And if you don't like it, that doesn't, your opinion does not dictate whether it is good or bad.
It's just not for you.
Just your opinion.
Yeah.
But all art, whether it's music, paintings, like any kind of art or creativity, I think is inherently good because it adds value to society. And if it's not for you, it's not for you. That doesn't make it bad for the next person because the next person has their own opinion and take on it.
I very much agree. Like, art is meant to be reflective of your own experience and like the experience of the artist. And there's times where that overlaps and it really resonates with you. And there's times where it doesn't, like, because it doesn't like impact the quality of the thing.
And some of the most impactful artists are the ones that allow fans and people to be seen within their art. Like, not every piece of art artists are able to resonate with the masses. That doesn't make it bad or good. But there are artists who are more popular because they can help people resonate, connect, feel something, evoke emotion. And that's kind of where I think where popularity comes from.
Yeah. And totally. And I also think like too, like any times like I've seen artists where like the music doesn't do well. It's like, or like, even if I don't like the music, it's like, it's not if the music is good or bad. It's like, I didn't understand who it was for.
Yeah.
That is, I think, all like the eternal messaging.
But maybe
issue.
it wasn't for you. And that's why you don't understand who it was for. Yeah.
Totally. But there will be songs where there's like artists that are very successful and I don't like the music, but I do understand who it's for.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And that's why I'm like, oh, this is why this works. And that's such an interesting thing again, too. Like, and going back to like one of the first things you said is like, we think about who first.
Yeah.
You know, like who is it for?
It's important. I think everything has a beautiful chance to work, and that's like the democratization of the internet right now, is that it gives everyone a voice.
Yeah.
And it gives everyone the ability to find a fan, to connect with people, to grow, to be shared. And that's kind of like the fun part of what I do. Is our role in this is more to like create the momentum behind it. Yes, we can create moments as well. Mm-hmm. That's a piece of it, but it's not solely that. There's every single project, what I do is different.
Yeah.
Like there's some projects where I'm extremely close in it, talking to the artist every single day because that's what they want. And then there's some artists that would prefer that their team handles certain things. And that's okay too. There's no right or wrong way to go about this approach. I think it's just really such a custom tailored thing that it's fun. Every day is a different puzzle for me. Every day is a different problems I'm solving, and problems is a loose term.
Right.
But that's what makes it exciting.
No, that's cool. Has there ever been a time an artist came to you with an idea and you thought there is no way this is going to work, but then it did?
There have been campaigns that I was watching from outside that it wasn't for me, and I was very skeptical, and it caught like wildfire and it ended up working. And those are some of my favorite things that I get to learn from.
Me too.
Because it's humbling, and it gives me a bit of hubris where I'm just like, I don't know everything. And I try not to approach. I try never to walk into a room and assume that I have the best perspective, or assume that I can be the person to solve all the problems in the night in the room type thing.
Totally.
But the most interesting instances are things that I'm not even connected to in any which way, and see that. And I'm like, that's a mistake. That, like, I put my critical lens on,
right,
and then be completely wrong. And those are fun to me.
Also, like something you said earlier that I would love to like ask more about is like, really, like when you're talking about like marketing the artists, how does that look? Like, is it like music videos? Is it social? Is it PR? Is it interviews? Like, where does like step one, right? Like, I just came to you with a song, you listened to it and you loved it. Like, what is the playbook? The playbook,
I mean, the playbook is loose. There's not like, if we had the red button to be able to make any artist successful, we would use it for every artist, right?
This is why I hate when people say industry plant.
Yeah.
I'm like, the industry couldn't plant somebody. The industry is trying to plant somebody every day.
Yeah,
but there's a reason there's a lot of money that like has to go into like developing an artist. You know what I mean? Like,
I think the first thing that we always try to do is hear from the artist or their representatives about what it is what their vision is and what they would like to accomplish with this. And then we go to the different departments, be it digital, PR, those sort of things, and then kind of pull together what's sort of like a strategy document. Like, here's the timeline. Here's the assets that we have, whether it's an idea for a cover art. Some artists are like, I already have the cover art done. I love this. This is what I want to do. And some artists are like, I don't really know and I need your help. And that's
cool.
kind of the fun part of being at a label is, again, everything's very different. So that's a piece of it, and sort of pulling together this document of like, who are the people we're looking to talk to? How do we reach those people? I think what's super important is setting goals and being able to like set objectives and understanding what the key results are under those to reach those objectives.
Yeah.
That really helps kind of guide the whole mission. Making sure that everybody on the team is involved, and the team isn't just always the label. The team's also the artist's management, the indie PR, if they have that, the digital person, their creative director. Like every team is shaped and built differently, and making sure that everybody is aligned and across what we're looking to do, and what we're looking to do is a reflection of what the artist is looking to do.
Interesting. One of the things I wanted to ask about within this specifically is music videos.
Yes.
So there is a lot of like discussion that labels don't want to fund music videos.
False.
In my personal opinion, I think a music video is like the most important thing for any artist. And I think especially now we are seeing a major comeback of music videos. If you see like, especially like with like specifically like Chappell Roan and Addison Rae were like two artists that like really fascinated me, because it was album one and they did like 6 singles and 6 music videos. And that really worked. Like something about just, I think, momentum, like consistent release with consistent visual to like, you give it like 30 days for the internet to like do its thing. And then it was like the next one. And I also think it's like just like building lore is important. So like, I'm very interested, like, what are your perspective on music videos as a label?
I think the first thing I want to say is the misconception is that labels don't want to create music videos. We absolutely do. We still have extremely talented creative people that work on our teams that commission, build, produce music videos. We work very closely with directors, but I think the most important piece for an artist depends on the artist. Yeah. For some artists, it might be the music video. For some artists, it might be the short form video. For some artists, it might be their fan-to-fan connection and their text community line where they talk to their fans directly. Yeah. It really varies. So for each campaign, everything's different. And I think every communication channel being as granular as each specific short form platform or social media platform, Snap, TikTok, Insta, Facebook, whatever. Right. Facebook groups still extremely potent thing for some artists. I work in country and it's still important. So every artist is different. So for some artists, it might not make sense to make a music video and they're okay with that. For some artists, they want to make a music video to get their creative expression off, and we're okay with that too. I think the shift is from there being one single, and the shift has happened over time. It's not like this just happened, right? But there was for a long time with MTV and the TV networks, one singular way to build your world. Yeah. And that was through music videos. Well, not one singular. That was kind of the most prevalent one. Pretty much. But album art, I guess, is part of it. Brand campaign here or there. Yeah. But now you have so many other tools at your disposal to build that world that it's not singularly written on the music video. Right. And it's important to be able to meet the fan where they are. Totally. And communicate with them on a level that they want to be communicated to, and entice them and excite them and get them into a point where they're like, this is it. Yeah. Like live on every word, content piece, song, lyric, those things. I think someone like Taylor, I mean, like the 10-minute long music video she did for one of the Taylor's versions. And you don't need to just have a 3.5-minute music video to build your world anymore. You can do it in so many other pieces creatively. That music videos are extremely important. YouTube is extremely important for so many different ways and levels when it comes down to building your world and having a vlog and building your world and using your shorts to bring people back into your main page. Like, I think the way that YouTube has been able to build like an ecosystem within their platform is so impressive that we would never disregard music videos outright because of how important it is to the fans, how important it is to connecting to a bigger audience, that people that aren't your fans yet.
Yeah. I agree very much with what you said. I think multiple things. One, I think a lot of artists, when they want a music video, is like they want a spectacle, not a story. And they are really thinking a lot about like creating this big, massive thing. And I think a lot, honestly, my opinion, like a lot of the best music videos are very simple. Like they're very like.
What's your favorite music video?
A 3-minute movie of the song of all time.
Yeah.
That's such a tough question to answer on the spot.
I'll answer it first.
Okay, go. Well, I think about my answer.
A music video that literally changed my life. I remember the first time I saw it was Jay-Z's Big Pimpin', and like seeing him on the yacht and just look so fly. I was just like, that is the coolest thing ever. And then you get to like.
And it created the ethos. It's like him being the man.
Exactly. And it's something that he carried forever. And he was always my favorite artist, one of my favorite artists growing up. And it's cool coming full circle, working at Rock and being able to like be in that ecosystem. But like music videos are so important to me as a fan. I'm a fan.
Yeah.
Like I am doing this because I am a fan of music. That is like, it's not because I want to
I very much agree.
Hang out with stars. Like it's none of that. It's like, I love music so much. I listen to it every single day. I've traveled around the world to go to concerts, museum exhibits, things that are all related to music, from like weird ambient stuff that like I understand as a fan that music videos are important, and it's a connective tissue that I have to the artists I love. So we would never disregard them as a piece.
Right.
But you still have to answer my question.
My answer is Hold Up by Beyonce.
Love it.
Like that's just like her being underwater.
I love that art. Mine was J. Yours was B. That's poetic.
It's just right. It's just right.
It's just right.
But like that, I think that was just like one of those videos I just like remember watching for the first time, like, you know, like just like like visceral reaction.
You know what? The Beyonce Formation video was on my Twitter feed this week, and I like hadn't watched that video in so long.
It's a good one.
And it was so cool that she did that at that time, because it was like that lo-fi aesthetic and like not what you expected from Beyonce, but it worked so well. And like, it's such an important storytelling tool.
No, it is. And also something I was like thinking about when we were talking about that earlier, like I was trying to think of examples like, like artists who didn't do a lot of music videos this past year. The first one I thought of was Charli. Like what's genius about Charli is like she didn't do a lot of the marketing. She let other people do it for her. Yeah. Right. It was the Brat wall, and like other people were filming that. It was her doing the pop-up performances, her doing Boiler Room, her doing Times Square. Like she wasn't actually like making a ton of music. There was 2. Like it was she had 2 albums in a year. Right. Yeah. And like what was interesting is like she focused so much on like experiential, like in-person interaction with the people who consume her music. Yeah. And that actually created like more virality than attempting to do something viral, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, she is such a fascinating, I mean, it's going to be studied and discussed for years of
I think she's like one of the best music marketers in history.
I fully agree. And her team's all brilliant, and they're all people who, the reason Charli worked is because Charli was simply being herself and had a vision and had an idea. And she had extremely supportive partners around her from the label side. I don't work for her label, but I know people that work with her, and like I know her team, and they all support her vision and get it, because it's a vision that it's like her lived experience, and that like she wasn't like doing these pop-up things because they were stuff that she thought would go viral. It's like that's just like how she rolled.
Cool.
And she's just so approachable and such a cool human. Yeah, even going back to her music videos, she still built a world around it. She had Rachel Sennett in the video, and like she specifically had those cameos and those pieces in the video that created that talking point beyond just the song that continued to give it layers.
Yeah. And with like who, like that was like so interesting about like 360s and music videos. They like it instantly defined like who is Brat.
Yes.
Right. Like that was the point of that. Like the scene where they're all sitting at the table and they're completely different people from completely different like career paths and walks of life, but you also understand how they all make sense in a room together.
Exactly.
Even though there is no direct tie. And like that was what defined this is who Brat is. This is what Brat is. And again, it's like talking about that ethos portion. Yeah. That's so important. Speaking of ethos, I think a very interesting album to talk about would be Radical Optimism. Mm-hmm. Because I really liked this album. I'm interested to hear what your favorite song on the album is.
My favorite song on the album, probably Illusion. I mean, I love Houdini as well.
And also Houdini was a hit.
2 times platinum.
You tell him. You tell him, come in with the stats.
We threw a concert in the middle of Times Square that I think 10,000 plus fans came to with an hour's notice. And
that's so cool.
SNL performance or co-host and performance, or host and performance rather. It was, there's so much noise out there that it's never been harder to cut through the noise, but the fans who love you will always define what the noise that reaches them is.
Yeah. And I thought that this was one of her most well-written albums. I think she really went deeper personally into her own life and relationship experiences.
I think that's a fair way to put it.
Past.
It was an album that was deeper, not wider.
Yeah, it was deeper. My favorite song on the album was These Walls.
Yeah.
And I love the metaphor of that song of just okay, I have a house that has literally the walls of my house have witnessed the entirety of this relationship. Us cooking together, us fighting, us cuddling on the couch. And if those walls could talk, what would they say to me?
Yeah.
And the song being written from that perspective is so freaking cool.
Yeah.
It is such a banger song. I'm obsessed with that song. And I loved that. The idea of taking one metaphor or personification, I guess, of a wall, and then just writing how how she thinks it would say. But then also I think in that process, you probably reveal a bit of your own hard truths that but we're struggling to admit.
It's also impressive to be able to write a up-tempo pop song that makes you want to cry.
Yeah.
That is such a juxtaposition that I think she has nailed in so many ways with her writing and creativity, that you feel the song and then you hear the song and the juxtaposition of that is just fascinating.
Yeah. Also, my favorite thing that she put out, and I'm saying this in hopes that somebody from Dua's team is watching, I Think I'm in Love with You with Chris Stapleton.
Yeah.
That I was obsessed with that.
Yeah.
And it was she doesn't use her vocal like that as often, in her music. And it's very upbeat pop, dancey. That's her vibe. But I was I was gagged. I want her to go, it was sultry, you know? And to hear her, her use her voice in that way, I absolutely loved. I think she could crush writing music like that.
Yeah. And there's songs where she has, Falling Forever is a song on the record that she really gives the vocal range. I think on this album, she gave more vocal range than on Future Nostalgia.
For sure.
That was fun. It was something that came about because her and Chris Stapleton were fans of each other. It was organic,
cool.
And it wasn't the best marketing ideas are things that are natural and organic and are just supposed to happen because of the way that life and everything times out. That it was an opportunity that came about because of a mutual relationship and connection and fandom of one another, that it made sense. And she wanted to do it.
Did she just DM him?
I genuinely don't remember exactly. There was a direct conversation between the two of them. I don't want to say
that's so cool.
Who did what first, because I don't remember or know really. But there was a reach out, and they both were absolutely huge fan.
That's
would love
cool
to share the stage. And Stapleton is such an interesting artist himself, where he's an introspective guy. I've never worked with him. I don't know him, any of those things, but he's an introspective guy who makes heart-wrenching ballads for the most part. He has up-tempo songs too, but songs that just really rip your heart out. But he's not on the internet over exposing himself in any way. And that's it feels like such a true artistic expression that's where it makes sense with someone like Dua, that she can write a song like These Walls and really pull that out of you in a different way, different genres.
She has an entire podcast interviewing authors.
She's brilliant.
She's so cool.
She is brilliant. She is intellectually as astute as anyone I've ever met. She just is a superhuman.
That's so cool. Okay, I have a few more artists I want to ask you about.
Okay.
One of the ones I'm very interested to hear your opinion in is Sailor.
Yes.
Because
yes.
I think she's really starting to have a moment.
She's definitely having a moment. I think Sailor has done a great job, and disclaimer, don't work with her, don't know her, have seen her live and was impressed. I think that she is doing a great job of distinguishing who she is. One of the things that I think aspiring artists can think to is what is going to have me stand out from the next video on your feed?
Yeah.
And if you're scrolling your feed, whether whether you're familiar with Sailor or not, the second time you see her, you're going to remember that because of how she presents. And I think it's so cool how she, the black, I don't know if it's a grill or like the blackening of her teeth. I believe it's an homage to her Vietnamese background. And it's something that's like authentic and has story to it. And I think being able to pull from your past and your heritage and define it into your now is so special. And she makes great music. Like she makes great music. I mean, the artists who are the best at marketing are seemingly the ones who make great music as well.
Yeah, it's very easy. It's a lot easier to market when the product is good.
Yeah, but it's also like the product is good because the marketing is good. The marketing is good because the product is good.
Yeah.
Like it's also a kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. I contradicted myself there.
No, I get what you mean. It's like the story and the storytelling aspect. Like if you have a very clear understanding of the story, it's a lot easier to tell it.
Yeah.
And I think something like two things interesting about Sailor. One, I was really like listening to like the writing of this album, and like something I think she's like really tapped into well that I think is like generally working well in music is this sort of like feminine rage, I guess I would say. Like, you know, like Good Luck Babe is like positive, but also like there's a bit of like anger in it, you know, like she's kind of calling this person stupid, or like please Sabrina is very like don't embarrass me mother effer. And like Sailor with like Pookie's Requiem and Bitches Brew, like she's found like this way to
but even if you think of it, distill it down to those two titles, Bitches Brew is obviously a Miles Davis reference, and like okay, she has like deep references, that's cool,
right?
Pookie's Requiem is like so cheeky, like Pookie is obviously like internet meme, the like guy who was called, like everybody. I don't know the exact origin of the phrase Pookie, but like there's a bit of memification internet culture around that. Yeah, very smart. Requiem for a Dream, Funeral. Like the way she is presenting is so fascinating and clever as well.
Yeah, I mean, even like the album cover is like an Animorphs reference.
Yeah, exactly. It's
which I thought was so funny.
It's like she's serious in the songs, but a bit irreverent and like fun in the presentation. And I think she found a way to land that very well, and it's resonating. It's working. And
Totally. Okay. Another one is Nessa Barrett.
Yeah.
Because I think about Nessa Barrett a lot, especially when you think of like this like very like wave one when record labels started signing TikTokers. And a lot of them, arguably most of them, did not work. But Nessa really did.
Yeah.
And I have always thought about like why. And like I think the reason Nessa really worked is like she's always had this very distinct point of view, right? Like she's not trying to be Taylor Swift girl next door. She's like emo punk, but also like pink bubblegum baby doll vibe. Like she can be dark and girly at the same time. And you so understood who that is for. Like it is this misunderstood high school girl who like listens to Pierce the Veil, but also listens to Lana Del Rey. And like, she's not interested in looking like every other girl who shops at Brandy Melville, right? Like Nessa had such a distinct aesthetic, both visually, sonically, and lyrically. And I really like that, at least to me from the outside, was like why Nessa worked. And when, if you think, and compare her to like Addison Rae's like initial album, you know, like it did not stick, or her EP like did not stick. Nessa's music always had. So I'm like so interested in like your thoughts of her. Also, I'd like to know your favorite song.
Tough one. Let me start with thoughts of her. I think with Nessa, a star is a star, right? It doesn't matter if you're a Gen 1 TikToker or a Gen Now TikToker. Like to me, like the phrase TikToker is even like cringe for anyone who says that, in a sense that like it is simply a medium, and being able to cut through audience and make people excited isn't beholden to the medium. It's kind of more of what you're presenting and how you're presenting. And I think she does such a good job, a great job of communicating directly with her fans and making her fans feel seen, and making them feel felt, and making them feel like they're a part of her family, and like they're so connected with her, and the way the fans react to her at shows is incredible. I think she's been able to really come into her own, and like it's incredible. Like I said, growing up with a camera in your face is insane.
It's insane.
It is impressive and challenging. And I don't mean insane in a disparaging way, in a courageous way. Yeah. And the way she's been able to do that is really where some of her fans have grown up with her. And they just because they met her air quotes, found her through an app, that doesn't mean she's defined by said app. It means that she was able to connect with people there, and she's now able to connect with people now through music, just like Addison. Addison's popping
on fire,
now, and she's on fire. And I listened to the Addison podcast with New York Times, and I think hearing her perspective and how long she's been working on music and what this really means to her, and how she started as a dancer, and it was always trying to figure out ways to express herself. It wasn't about doing it for the algorithm. It was about expression and doing it in this mode or that mode. For us as people who are like watching or judging it, it feels like you're like, no, you have to express yourself through this medium because that's how I met you. So
that's what's working.
How dare you challenge my perception of you when they're actually like, no. My expression was the end goal, not to be popping on this thing. And I'm going to express myself here. I'm going to express myself there. I'm going to express myself everywhere.
Yeah. Also I very much agree. Also, I think like, again, like what Addison found was these things that I'm talking about. Like she found out how to build the world and like found out what her world is and like what it's referential to. And, Diet Pepsi feels so Lana, but she's also doing the walking around reading a Britney memoir. And like, it's like, like she like found out like how to make really great music videos too. And people like Arca and Charli and like she found that through time, which was really cool. I think what I was trying to say earlier was like, what was interesting to me about Nessa at that time was like, she had it already, like I think other artists, it took them 2 to 3 years to figure that out. And I feel like Nessa just always had it. Like she just always knew. She always knew what was like her sort of like thing in world. My favorite Nessa song is Girl in New York. If you've never heard it,
I've heard it.
Listen to it.
That's one of my favorites too. It's hard. I can't pick a favorite. I'm not going to give you one. Girl New York's amazing. I think she's just continuing to grow and develop and keep making incredible music. And she's so locked in and excited about doing that. It's cool.
Cool. Okay. Like last one that I will talk about, and we talked about him a bit earlier, is I want to talk about Somber again. Yeah. Because Somber has grown like 38 million monthly listeners in 3 months. That is insane. Like, how do you market that? Like, how does that happen?
And I'll preface this by saying I don't work directly on Somber's team. He's a Warner Records artist, but I don't work day to day with him. We all are one team, and there's big room conversation stuff like that. But there's a core group of team members, and then it extends beyond that have done an incredible job. And I think Somber is so fascinating because he has always had his finger on the pulse. Like he's a kid who. Dude, he grew up in downtown New York. Like there's kind of one or two ways that goes, right? You're either like beaten down by the world of how just like overstimulated you might be from growing up there, or you become one of the people with the most incredible taste in the world. Yeah. And understanding like sociology and humanity and how to get people to react to get the world that you want for yourself. And I think that's what a lot of it comes down to. It helps when you're as good looking and as tall as he is. And to top it off, the music's incredible.
The music is incredible.
He really has found a pocket of music that is resonant and is poignant and really evocative emotionally, but also the way he presents it, that you feel it when he sings it and you understand that, and it doesn't feel like he's presenting something that he doesn't feel connected to. Totally. You can feel that connection when he's singing these songs.
There's like two very interesting things about his music to me. One, from the writing perspective, like something I think really why his music is resonating so well, specifically Back to Friends and Undressed, is like it is yearning. Like you see all these memes on the internet of girls being like, we need to bring back yearning and blah, blah, blah. And like Somber is yearning. Yeah. Like he's literally like, I don't want the children of another man to have the eyes of the girl I won't forget. Right. Like it is so
fucking great lyric.
Incredible lyric. Incredible writer, just in general. Yeah. Like it is so like you feel like the yearning.
And I think he also is like tapping into an element of like humanity that just about anyone can relate to, but is presenting in such an authentic way that comes off so cool, because he is cool. Like that's what it is, because that's who he is. So when you're able to connect with people through your lyrics, but also present yourself in a way that is real and authentic, but aspirational at the same time, it's such a unique mix. And he's a special artist that I think has so much more to give to the world. And just excited to continue.
We don't have an album yet.
Yeah.
A lot's going to change.
Yep.
Well, Sam, I want to thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
A delightful conversation, and I think your perspective is so interesting.
Yeah.
Like to hear how you think about this from the top, especially as somebody who's like, I'm essentially just a consumer, but I love to do
We're
what I
all
do.
consumers. I think like that's where the perspective comes from. That's where it starts. That's where it ends. Like I would be worse at my job if I didn't love music, right? But I absolutely love it. I'm a fan. I care. I buy tickets. I buy merch. I do all of these things because I want to be involved. And I think having that experience is what I'm able to lend to other artists in perspective and help them in any way I can. And that's what makes me happy, is helping them.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you so much. And we'll see you all next week.
Peace.